Thank you for joining us tonight for the Pipedrive Product Design Meetup. We are going to spend the next 1.5 hours talking about Pipedrive philosophy, team culture, how we handle our design strategy to success, and also learn about the personal journeys of our 3 panelists here. This week is World Usability Day week, or there is a conference later on Friday, and that is a part of what this event is all about. Highly encourage you all, you lovely Estonians, and whoever else is on the call, to get some questions into the YouTube chat, because the top 2 best questions, as voted by our panelists, they will win tickets to the conference on Friday, valued at about €100 each. So, who am I and why am I hosting this event? I'm Kurt Strang and been in Pipedrive for quite some time, over about 5 years or so. I work as web conversion manager here, and I love UX. That's very big as part of what I try and do. So happy to have the chance to play host here tonight. But enough about me, and on to the panelists. So, would you please, each one of you, spend about 60 seconds saying who you are and what you do in your daily work at Pipedrive. Jackson, please kick us off.
Okay. Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Wanderson Jackson, and I'm a group design manager here at Pipedrive. And on my day-to-day basis, I'm really focused on this new area that we have called incubation and concepts, and mainly focusing on exploring these new products that we are having that are clearly aligned with our company strategies. So mainly making sure that we are hiring the best talents, ensuring that the people who are joining the team are happy, make sure the well-being is there, make sure people are motivated with what they're doing, and can grow their career from here on. So that's pretty much it, yeah.
Great. Karolin?
Hello. I'm Karolin, and I'm currently working as a design lead in Pipedrive. And my main focus is looking after and improving our design processes and ensuring the quality is on a high level.
Thanks.
Cool.
Stephen?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen. I am the Senior Director of UX and Design here at Pipedrive. And my role is to help enable, to coach, support, and to serve not just these 2 wonderful people that we've got here on the panel, but everybody in the design team.
Thanks very much, everyone. We will be covering 4 main topics over the next 1.5 hours or so. Hopefully we have some time after that for questions and answers, but I encourage you to send in your questions as we go along. We'll try and get to them 4 times towards the end of every question. So the 4 main topics are Pipedrive design philosophy, how we answer the business questions and address customer needs, also talking about our team and culture, and lastly, about the personal career growth of our 3 panelists here. So for the first topic, about design philosophy, we promised we'd share some success in the sign-up form to this event about how Pipedrive manages its design process. I understand, Stephen, that you very much believe in the how we design here in general, and that's what's most important. Can you please elaborate more?
Yes, I can, Kurt.
Thank you.
So, as you might expect, everything kind of starts with our users and our customers. And there's very much a strong focus on them, what their goals are and what they're trying to achieve. And a lot of it is about being able to create a consistency in what they're doing, to give them confidence in what they're doing as well. So if you're a salesperson, that's one thing that's really important to you is knowing that you're going to have a consistency of sales coming in that's going to give you that sort of continuity of revenue, as it were. So we start at that point, and really we take those 3 things and we just filter it down at every point along our design processes. We work in sort of a 3-stage process where we have a sort of a section that we're looking at creating the problem space, and then where we create the solution space, and then when we engineer and we deliver on that as well. And through each one of those 3 stages, we make sure that we keep those 3 things in mind, that we're always looking at what it is that the customer is trying to achieve all the way down the line.
Thanks very much. Jackson, you joined Pipedrive around a year ago, from my memory.
Yeah.
As a group design manager, I believe, how is Pipedrive's design process and philosophy different from your previous experience or roles?
That's a very good question. So basically, when I joined Pipedrive in the beginning of this year, I've joined as a senior designer, so a senior product designer, working in a product team related to communications and planning. And I saw that there were always opportunities for you to be able to lead in somehow. So there's like we have a mentorship program that is internal, and this program it enables you to like share your knowledge, share your skills, whether it's technical or something more specific. So this will enable you already to start practicing your skill by leading in practice. So it's not like you're just thrown under the bus and just, hey, become a manager or become a lead. No, you're given more time to grow into this role. So when I joined, I was mostly focused on product, and then I was able to grow into the design lead role. And after experimenting this, I was able also to transition to my current role, which is a group design manager. My experience so far has been the best because compared to all of the previous companies I've worked with, they are totally different contexts, different principles, and here it's something that actually happened. So you see all of the principles and the philosophies and our values are actually happening on a daily basis. So I'm really, really happy to be part of this team because you can see growth in the little things you do on a daily basis.
It's really nice to hear. Karolin, you joined over 5 years ago as a designer or an intern, I believe, and you've worn many different hats. But these days, you're more focusing on mentoring some of the junior designers. Please tell us more about how you feel about that and what excites you about that role these days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the same way as Jackson put it, it's been a very gradual growth. And for the past 2.5 years, before I stepped into the shoes of design lead, I worked solely on a reporting tool called Insights. And after 2.5 years, I felt that, okay, this product probably needs some new energy. Besides that, I had been focusing on mentoring and facilitation roles as well as a side thing already for quite a while. And then at one point I felt that I could bring more value to the company and to other teams by serving them more. And I think company felt the same. So yeah, then I became a design lead. And what excites me about that, the impact. Like, of course, there is impact when I create the product as well. I can clearly see it. But when I work with young designers who come in and they not even necessarily need the mentorship in what methods to use, but like to be confident and to be able to make that decision, follow their heart, and like turn to specific people when it's like the right time and in the right phase in the flow. So I think it's very rewarding to do that job or be in this role.
Okay, thanks. I hope there's been some questions been answered, and if not, please fire them in. My colleague Brandon will send them over to me, and I'll ask them live as soon as they come in. But while we wait, I'll ask one for you, Karolin. You've been here. You mentioned you've been here for so long in the design department. How have you noticed the philosophy change, or has it changed? Or do you have any comments on that over the years?
So the first thing I would bring out is that we've always been very user-centric when we design and in our approaches, and this hasn't changed at all. But what has changed is that we have grown so much, and we have so many supportive roles for our designers on daily basis. So you don't have to like struggle in getting something, I don't know, copy or illustrations or something like that. You always have the right people to turn to, and always have the right professionals to collaborate next to you, and also other designers with different skill sets to learn from. So that has changed.
Okay. Maybe a question for you, Stephen, then. Since you've been the director of design in Pipedrive, then like how have you maintained or built collaboration across departments, especially as we've grown? How have you handled that?
It's been a huge growth. You're absolutely right. And I think what has really helped us is actually that growth and being able to get more headcount in and put them into more of the supporting roles. So, one of the things we'll talk a little bit about maybe later on is about how we've sort of split up the product into key pillars. But it's not just about having those key pillars. It's also about the support roles. So the team that Karolin is working in, the design operations one, it's actually there not just to make sure that we have best practices and that we have the best quality of work coming through and that we can coach and mentor people. It's also there to make sure that some of the things that people are doing, they can turn to that team. Yeah. So it's never about a designer being there on their own. It's the same with the design alignment team. We've got illustrators, we've got copywriters, we've got animators, we've got component designers as well in there. And any designer who is designing at Pipedrive is very much, they're concentrating on solving the problems and the user's problems, not about these other bits which can kind of get in the way and bog you down and make, you start worrying about where the pixels are going as opposed to have you actually solved the problem, And for me, that's what's been so brilliant about being able to work here and being able to build the team in that way, is that, it's not just about, let's just get the work done, bang, 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 bang. It's actually, let's think about what the solution is. And then there are all these other people around me who can help me,
Nice. I think that, right on cue. Thanks, Brandon. We have a question which I will go to. This is from Praneeth. What are the challenges you face when designing a feature which is very new to the user? I guess anyone can take that.
Okay, I can take that one. So what are the challenges is mainly, for instance, it's you really, really need to explore, like really invest in researching. So when there's not an existing feature, it's more difficult because you can look into a pool of data. You can explore from nothing because it's new. So when something is new, you have to do a lot of research. You have to talk really closely to the customers, see what the community is saying, what the people are saying, and try to understand the problem at its core. So really make sure that the problem is really a problem, validating the problem, researching, talking with customers, and having this deep dive very closely, not only in the design level, but even the engineering or building business cases. Yeah. For example, what product managers will be able to do. Yeah. So it's really about exploring this problem, validating it, and making sure that it actually it's solving something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about getting past that kind of what a user's saying to you that they want versus what do they actually need.
Yeah.
And digging that a little bit further into it and iterating on it and then going back and testing it and spending time doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, I guess we've beautifully segued into our next topic, which is about business questions and customer needs. So Jackson, you just mentioned it's all about understanding the customer. But for this question, I'll ask you, Stephen, what in your mind is the key to balancing business questions and solving customer needs?
It's about how we pair the PM team with the designers as well. So I alluded to just a moment ago. We've got these key pillars which are based around the key tasks that our customers and users are trying to perform, and each one of those has got maybe half a dozen or so product managers in there that are managing different feature areas. With each one of those, we pair them one for one with a designer as well, so they work as a team and they collaborate together. Having that co-creation and that collaboration is very key. So we talk about co-creation and collaboration not just as being something that you would do with users and with the research team, but we also use it internally as well. So we have this kind of, I've jokingly called it in the past an unholy trinity of sort of engineering and PM and design who kind of work together at each stage of the design process. And that's really helped us to focus on the things that matter the most. So when the business comes to us and says, we've got this research, we believe this is an area that we want to look at, or they come to us and they pose a question such as, we want to expand our product offering. You can get something kind of like as meta and as large as that, and you have to go, okay, what does that mean? So let's go and have a chat to our customers. And then you start talking to the customers and you say to them, well, what else is it that you'd like us to do? And they come up with some of the stuff that Jackson's working on at the moment, at least 2 new areas that you're working on. And we then go through that cycle of, okay, so we've identified these big areas. Now we need to research and use designers to help us go through and help to define with the PMs and the engineers what those problem spaces are before we can start solving them. And it's also as well about allowing the designers to have the autonomy of themselves to kind of come up with those solutions. So we have some quite high performers here at Pipedrive, and it's one of the things that we look for in designers as well. And they don't necessarily have to have a lot of experience, but high performing. And then we look at training them, we look at supporting them and putting them through these processes, which, Karolin's team help to sort of keep on track all the time.
So you mentioned there that Jackson is maybe a bit closer to the ground there, working with understanding the, and building these things with a couple of new, did you say concepts or areas?
We call them concepts. If you were to look at them in terms of designer speak, I'm kind of using internal nomenclature there. Really, we're talking about prototyping that then goes into being an MVP. So we've got a couple that are going, we've been working on at the moment, which have been, they've been in prototype stage, and now they're moving into this MVP where they're going to be released into the wild, and where, it's not just going to be maybe a couple of hundred users using it. We'll start getting feedback from thousands of users. We have nearly 100,000 user base.
Maybe, Jackson, you want to make some comments on what it's like from your perspective on this?
Yeah, so that's a very fair point. On this perspective, we are going to take this problem that we're aligned with the company strategy, of course. So okay, this is the direction that the company wants to go. How can we actually help our customers with these specific problems that they have? So based on which specific strategy we're aligned with, we're able to go there and explore, as I mentioned previously, reiterate, prototype, test, talk with the customers in different forms of getting customers' input, and then scaling this up into the MVP phase. So the MVP phase basically is when you're already, the product is moving from this pre-market fit, and once it's hitting that direction, then it's going to go to be converted into an actual product and goes to this different stage. So from a general perspective, we are really the main thing and the main focus is make sure that the customers' problems are being solved and well solved. So from whatever cycle in the revenue cycle they will have their problem being solved.
Thanks. And Karolin, your role and team is a little bit different than either as well. Would you like to elaborate how you help in this process as well?
All right. Sure. So design operations team was born around 2 months ago. Before we used to have only one person who did all this. Now we have 5 people. Some of the roles we have in this team are UX strategists, design operations manager, design lead, hopefully more than one in the future, and also head of design operations. And some of the things we do, we similarly to alignment team, we serve other internal teams. We look after the processes, we look after the tools. We try to detect the gaps that are in there and seek for the patterns, like who have them and when, and then approach the problem solving in a strategic way so it would create a bigger impact in the organization. When we think about some examples, then we have, for example, UX strategists who provide workshops and labs as services. So whenever some team is struggling with, for example, defining what is their vision for the whole area, they can come in, held a workshop. Also, when it comes to onboarding new designers, then it's our job to make sure they're aware of what are the tools, what are the processes we use, and so on.
Okay, great. I'll check again for any questions. Please ask some questions. We've got some 3 amazing experts in their field. Get the questions in, we'll ask. Once again, 2 tickets to World Usability Day conference, which is happening on Friday, both live and online if you're not in Estonia. I have a question, which is from myself at least. So I'm not in the design organisation. I can ask one from my perspective. We have a research team as well in Pipedrive. How does the research team maybe feed in or support or help? Or how do you collaborate? Maybe for you, Stephen. As well.
Yeah, sure. We've actually got quite a strong research team. There's over a dozen people at the moment. So it's quite large. They're spread out in the same way that the design team is kind of spread out around Europe in our Lisbon hub, in Prague, obviously here in Tallinn as well. And their role primarily is talking with customers at what I would call the top end of the funnel. So when we're looking at defining problems and problem spaces, so for example, when I mentioned, the business comes to me and they say, we want to expand our product offering. We sit there as product managers, and we sit there as designers, and we kind of scratch our heads a bit. And then you go, okay, now we really need to be talking to we could have all the design, the ideas that we want under the sun, but until we actually go and talk to the research team, and we ask the research team to go to our customers, we're never really going to know. So the research team is very much used as a sort of a customer insights team in many ways, from a human perspective, from a sort of both a qualitative and a quantitative perspective. And they help us very strongly to define that problem stage right at the very, very beginning. And then we can build on that, and then we use the skills that we have as designers to sort of empathize with our users as well and come up with solutions that will be the best for them. But yeah, it used to be that the research team would spend a particular amount of their time doing user testing, and we've actually swapped that round. So we now use user testing tools that the designers use themselves to test designs.
Yeah.
So their time is better spent doing these jobs. So the way we looked at it was researchers should be spending more time talking to customers, not just doing the usability testing at the end of it. Yeah. So that's how we've moved them kind of to the front end of the funnel.
And I would add, when removing the usability testing from researchers' table, then it enables designers to be closer to it as well, to see actually how their prototype is working and how the solution is working, and not just wait for the results to come in and then study them.
Yeah, it did speed our processes up quite dramatically, actually. I mean, it was kind of like there was a 2-week delay almost at some points, but So, yeah.
What usability tools are you using? I'm curious now.
Oh, you've asked me. Do you know what? Everyone asks me this one, and I always forget the name of it. It's Maze.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So it's quite good because it allows you to do both monitored and unmonitored testing. And then what we actually did, it was quite a funny conversation because we kind of went around the houses with it a little bit. We have what are called companioned and uncompanioned tests as well. So this is where if you have a slightly less experienced designer and they want to run a usability test using Maze, they can ask for assistance from the research team as well, who will kind of help give them hints and sort of coach them in how to do that and how to do it correctly. Obviously, some of the senior ones, they don't need companions when they're setting up these tests, so they just go ahead and they use it themselves. With that, we can obviously get monitored and unmonitored tests, or we can also use, I don't know if I'm allowed to say Figma in here as well. I've just mentioned Maze, so I can mention Figma, can't I? It's free advertising for them, why not?
Free for them, yeah.
So we also use Figma as well to do very quick clickable prototypes if we're not doing anything that's too in-depth. So we don't need people who are filling in forms or whatever. We can do them through Figma as well. So we've got sort of different routes that we can use to help designers get the feedback they need.
One very important factor there as well, that when I was amazed by the research team, is that they always providing these like amazing types of trainings so that you can get on board and learn how to looking, for example, into those tools that can have a lot of data, and like, how can I actually understand this tool? How can I use it? How can I funnel down information and get data that I actually need to use in order to validate or invalidate something? So it's really cool. We have like really, really, really good trainings here.
Yeah, and Agne, who's the head of research, has put together this amazing library as well.
Yeah.
So you can go back if you need like historical data. It's not just, oh yes, we need to go and let's go and do it, and then it disappears into a pit of research, whatever. There's actually a library. It's actually all structured. If you need to go and get something, if you want to go back and compare, for example, so say we would do a piece of research and we do it every 6 months or so, for example. You can go back and you can look at how things have changed over 6-month cycles, not just in a particular product, but maybe in attitudes or approaches to the software that we're providing, or the particular feature that we're providing as well. So being able to have that documented history of research is hugely important for us, especially at the beginning stage.
Thanks. That was my personal question. Look at the depth of answer I got. So once again, encourage everyone.
Are you looking for a free ticket as well now?
I mean, maybe I can get the ticket. I'm on the list. I did actually see we've got one come through, so I can ask. Here we go. This is from Karishma. How do we prioritize customer problems and ensure the right problems are being solved, which are a win-win for both Pipedrive and customers? So maybe Jackson, that seems like for you, that question.
That's a good, very, very good question, by the way. What can I say is that like we are really focused on problem prioritization. So problem prioritization comes when it's aligned, when it's feasible technically, when it's aligned with the product strategy, and when it's validated with it actually solving the customer's problem. So the problem prioritization stage is like when you look into this pool, you have like a product area and they have problem spaces, and these problem spaces are full of problems. Yeah. So you want to make sure that the things that you're going to be solving are really, really big problems. So you can have like the highest, like the pressing problems, which can be something regulatory, or which can something could be related to like maintenance or technical debt. And these are there are other types of problems that can be with not such high priority, but can enter in the backlogs and stuff like this. Yeah.
We also have a data analytics team as well, who give us weekly reports. So we don't just get usage reports, who's using the app, who's logged in, who isn't. We can actually go down to a feature level as well, and we can see if we've released a new feature, are people using it, or if we've altered it, how are people using that new feature? So we go right the way down into that detail, and then we can go into do we need to be messaging this change more clearly? Do we need to go back to the marketing team and say, oh, by the way, marketing guys, we've just done this thing, and maybe the way that we've put it into in the application hasn't filtered through to people clearly enough, or maybe it has filtered through and they're getting stuck at a particular point. And that's the point where we can go right the way down into the analytics of it. And then, as Jackson says, that then goes back into the prioritization pool, where it's like, well, how serious is this really? You know, is it something that we can fix quickly? And is that quick fix going to have a high impact? Obviously, those are things, if you get those two things aligning, then yes, it's like, bang, let's go and do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, and let's see some more come through. Hopefully you got good value out of the answers there. Let's move on to next topic, team and culture. For Stephen, this question is, you've been with us for 2.5 years,
Yep.
and the design team in your time has grown from somewhere around 20 to 50 and still growing. How have you set up the team to scale and succeed? And please tell us about that.
Yeah. And if that was as much as a surprise to me as it was anybody else, the speed at which it's scaled. We've spoken a little bit about this, you know, throughout here, about, you know, how we sort of can support each other and all the rest of it. But, you know, we've looked at how we scale up to sort of 50 people. And then we organised ourselves around that idea and around an idea of holacracy and how you kind of enable people to work freely and autonomously within a framework. And that took us to about 50 people. But now we're looking at, you know, we're going to keep going past that 50 mark, you know, which
Really
was...
fast.
Yeah, it was quite quickly as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd always thought that the maximum number of people I'd ever be managing would be about 20, 25. Right, which is still quite a big design team. And then to suddenly go from that to like bang where we are was actually quite a shock to the system. But it's one that we've solved jointly. It's not just something that I've kind of like wandered in one morning and just gone, hey guys, we're going to do this week, and then altered 50 people's lives. I mean, I know it felt like that. Okay, I appreciate this. But we spent, you know, quite a long time thinking about what would work, thinking about the people, thinking about the personalities. And this is where we came to this kind of like we know that we've already got designers who are matched with PMs on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
Let's keep that, let's make that stronger. Let's make sure that we've got group design managers and group product managers as well, so that we have a high-level pairing at a group level, not just at an individual level. And then let's make sure that we've got even more people coming into the design alignment team who can build components for designers. You know, the last thing I ever want is for a designer to be worrying about how a drop-down should look. They should just be going to a shelf, picking a drop-down, putting it in their design, right? Taking it off the sticker sheet, putting it in there. They shouldn't be worrying about it. The real question is, should the drop-down be there in the first place? Right? Not what it looks like. Why is it there? You know, is it fulfilling some kind of a need that the customer has and that the user has? And if it's not, forget it, doesn't need to be there. So those are the kinds of ways that I want people to be supported and to feel supported, even down to sort of, you know, the UX copywriting level. We had Christina, who was with us for a long time, who was the one UX writer we had. We've now taken it up to 2. We've got a third one coming in as well pretty soon, which is, for me, a real measure of the need that we have for having UX writers, because the product has now sort of got to that stage where we're building so many new things that we're going to be putting into it, that we need a consistency within, you know, not just the nomenclature that we're using, but the tone of voice that we have. Setting things up like this is what I found very, very satisfying. And also having you know, a company and a company owner who is prepared to put the money into roles which aren't necessarily making product. And you know, with most product designers, you can draw a straight line between, we made this feature, it gave us this much revenue. To be paying for a whole bunch of people to support those designers and knowing that they won't directly be contributing towards revenue shows the maturity of the company and of the team that we're able to build. So I'm really proud of that, to be honest with you.
Speaking of maturity of the company, a few years back, for me at least, we didn't have group product managers or a group design manager. So maybe Jackson, you tell us more specifically, what is your role, you know, about, and how is it different from, say, what Stephen's commenting on this topic?
Yeah. He just mentioned a very important factor. This role, it was there, but it just changed a tiny bit. But what happened is that in terms of autonomy and how we do things in the design team and the design maturity level is that we are capable to contribute directly to how the design organization is designed. We contribute to designing the way that we are gonna work. Mm-hmm. It's not like Steven is gonna just walk in the room and say, "Hey, you need to do this, this, this." No, he's like, how can we work well, and how can we help other teams to work well? How can we help the customers to get things done in the best way possible? So this is something that I'm really amazed about Pipedrive, is that it's like a really collaborative. Like, we spent a very long time, as you mentioned, looking to different variations of how the design organization will be structured. He gave us as well the tasks of that, like, okay, previously was him together with the previous design ops manager, and they were doing like a really, really thorough and good work on that. And then they were like, hey, okay, we're opening up for more input. And then the other design managers were able to look into this and like, okay, this is not easy to do. So how can we do this better? So we created different variations of that, and also included the other designers, even from junior, independent of the level, to contribute and like put inputs on how we can better serve the entire team and how we can make the structure strong as possible. So in my new role was one of the result of what was being done there. So collaborating directly with the design director to the design intern, and defining the way that we are going to work, how we're going to be, what is going to be a job title, and how our role is going to be, is like something really amazing. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. Very good.
You know what? You've just reminded me actually of the size of the Miro boards that we had at the end of the summer. we burnt through like 3. Because Miro is meant to be like this big infinite sized space, but eventually you get to a point where it stops physically being able to render on your screen, and we hit that like 3 times.
Yeah,
we'd created and generated so much input, and people had input so much to it, that we had to keep just going, okay, we're going to take the top one and put that into a new file, and then that would just fill up, and then we go, okay, now we need to take the top, put that one into a new file.
There's your third name drop for software.
Yes, it is. Yes,
but
we're not looking for discounts, but that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Coming back to the same topic, Karolin, you've been here for so many years, and you must have seen a lot of changes, including these recent ones that have just been discussed. But how many people were in the design department when you started, and how have you changed over the years?
Okay, so I joined Pipedrive when it was about 200 people, and the design team was in a size of 10 people. And there were 3 of us were interns. So yeah, and altogether the supporting roles we had were 1 researcher. And when I think back of my experience then I can bring an example. When I was working on an illustration for one like internship projects I had, but it wasn't like a shelf project. It was a real project. But everybody thought that it's actually like a mock project, and said like, hey, yeah, cool illustration, works, whatever. And it actually went live. And then the next day, everybody realized that, oh, it wasn't a mock project. But we didn't have Illustrator in-house, and we didn't have like a real process how illustrations should be graded. So I thought I will grade it. And the concept was good. So the real illustration that arrived used the same concept. And yeah, it was a fun experience, a bit scary as well for an intern. If we compare it to the situation today, then how the junior or intern would go about it would be that one could be able to construct the illustration on one's own using the illustration component library, which is very, very good library that our visual designer has put together. Also, if the person wouldn't be up to grading it on her or his own, then the person would be able to collaborate with the visual designer. And yeah, basically the support is there. You don't have to struggle with the process, and you don't have to find yourself doing something stupid.
Back in this story reminds me of one of our sayings, panan via this. You just got it done.
Yeah.
And then it went live.
Yeah.
So the illustration, that is. Any questions from the audience? Send them in, people. No questions? I'm going to ask my own one then for the team and culture.
Okay.
Oh, there's one. No?
Pulling up
there
Mr.
is.
for
There
the
we go.
question.
Sorry, I
Strict
missed it.
exercise. Yeah.
Technical difficulties and whatnot.
Right.
How has remote working been for your design team, since designers need more brainstorming and teamworks in person?
I think,
Or do they? Anyway, that's the question.
yeah, that's a very, very good question. While in the role of a design lead, I've been seeing that we put a lot of effort in still maintaining the same effort that we do in having in-person collaboration online. So these digital tools helped us quite a lot. But we did not only this brainstorming ideation, but we did team engagement collaboration as well. How we can engage in these difficult times, because of the COVID, we were literally at home, closed up, and how can we have people engaging in on a daily basis? So remote life has not been easy not for anyone, but we have been putting quite a lot of effort in making sure that everyone is being heard independent of the distance or location that they are.
Yeah.
So.
And
Go on.
yeah, I would add up that the importance of these digital tools and the importance of Miro specifically, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Before Corona, we kind of used it. Some people used it, but now we use it even if we are in the same room, because it's so convenient. You get all your whatever you would put on a whiteboard, you get it all digitalized. You can work at the same time, and it kind of reduces the barrier. If you're just at home in Tallinn, working.
It also gives a voice to people who wouldn't necessarily speak up in meetings,
Yeah.
and it gives them a voice, which is hugely important.
Yeah. And we do design reviews in Miro as well.
I was about to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the design reviews, we do call it design reviews instead of design critique, because design critique has kind of a more negative connotation. So the design even the slight change, for instance, when we change it from design critique to design review, we at least alleviated a bit more of the pressure, because the word critique is kind of heavy. Oh my God, I'm gonna get my
work critiqued. Someone's going to tell me I'm
criticize
wrong.
my work. So, and with the design reviews now, what we do is we look into the design that was done, and then we basically have those four blocks, and then under these 4 blocks, each participant will be able to join and say what the things to keep, the questions, the ideas, and things to improve. So even on those and on this level, it reduces the stress of the person who is sharing the design.
Yeah.
And it focuses more on the problem that they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
So if I walk in the room in a design review, hey, I'm building this specific feature, solving this specific problem. What are the things that are things to keep? What are the questions that do you have? What are the ideas that you can probably input here for me to make a better solution? Yeah. And what are the things that needs to be improved? Yeah. So
and in the end, you have it all documented.
Yeah, all documented.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say as well that it's also been down to some of the people that we've got here on the team who've worked really, really hard to make those digital tools work. In 2019, around about this time, 2019, you remember I took everyone out and we did that design lab, didn't we? So we wanted to change the information architecture of the whole product. So I took everyone out into a cabin in the woods for 3 days, and we all brainstormed for 3 days in person. And it was brilliant. We came up with the navigational structure and hierarchy that we have for the product today. A year ago, we wanted to do the same thing for our look and feel of it. How would we visually change the product? And obviously, we couldn't all get together for the obvious COVID reason. So we had to move it online. And it took a few weeks, I will say. I'm not going to lie about that. It took a few weeks to kind of put all this stuff together and get it working. but we had 54 people working online simultaneously in 7 groups for 3 days to come up with these ideas. And that was Vanessa who kind of did that with Hannes as well, leading it. And they were just amazing. It was just amazing to see that many people all working collaboratively together. Yes, Jackson, you're absolutely right. You know, being stuck in a room on your own, for some people who are single, it's been a lot harder. For those of us who are married with kids, shutting yourself off in a room is quite pleasant. Getting away from the family. But I know that for some people it's been very stressful not being able to come into the office. But, you know, tools like, and I'm going to name drop a 4th one, Zoom.
Zoom, yes.
Always looking for the discounts. But, you know, that combination of Zoom and Miro as a collaboration tool, and also some of the stuff that, you know, Figma has responded to by having stuff like FigJam, you know, and tools like this have really helped us to work remotely and to become a lot slicker in what we're doing. But again, I come back to this point, it also allows people who wouldn't necessarily speak up within a meeting to actually have a voice. Because we've got some brilliant people who I know would even shy away from turning up to the meeting sometimes, but who are quite happy to sit there with like their cameras off and their sounds off and still put stuff onto a sticky note on Miro. Right, and that's what you're looking for, and that's where you get the best from people.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Solves cultural and personal problems.
Yeah.
Well, not, you know, like different individuals are all different, aren't they? I have a question as well. You mentioned this 3-day cabin retreat.
Yes.
I wasn't there. I wasn't lucky enough to be there. But what is, for all 3 of you, what has been one of your favourite either trainings, team events, anything over the past few years?
I think the latest one, the design fest.
Oh, the one we did the other week?
Yeah. Like it was a few months ago, right?
About 8 weeks ago.
It was in September.
8 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like definitely one of the best design experience I've ever had as a team, because being able to see everybody that were like in different parts of the world, like in our different offices, and being able to see all of them together and talk and hug and just like, damn, it's like you're actually real. And see Stephen, for instance, he's like in London, and then
he's
be
real,
able to see, oh, he's actually, he's not a hologram or a deep fake, he's actually a real person. That was amazing, and I think that's one of my favorites. Like, yeah.
Cool. Karolin, what's your favourite?
Yeah, that one was really good. We were actually able to work together because we we did some team building exercises and design problem brainstorming kind of things together. And I would never work with some people from some offices just because I wouldn't work in the same problem space. But this enabled us to do that, yeah. But I would bring out another one, and I would bring out onboarding labs. We had this spring, and I've taken part of labs. This is like one of these big company-wide events we held to solve some specific problem. And this time it was about how to solve the onboarding in a big scale. Mm-hmm. And this time I took part as an organizer, and I saw how much work it is. It took like 2 months to prepare.
We worked on that together, yeah?
Yeah. And then the whole lab itself, how much facilitation went in, how much support.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't imagine it at all when I
work.
was participant in the other ones.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why we have 2 people doing that full time.
Yeah.
Just doing that 2 people just dedicated to working on that kind of stuff, to make sure that when we need to do workshops, you know, whether they're small workshops, I say small, roadmap for a feature for the next 12 months, or whether we're doing, you know, a big lab where we're talking about a whole segment of the product.
Yeah.
You know, it requires having people. We started with one person and she got swamped almost immediately. The moment that people cottoned on to how they could use her as a service, suddenly got swamped, and it's like, okay, we need to go and get someone else to help here as well.
Yeah,
it was quite cool.
And one thing I was shocked about, like, as I also participated with Karolin on this together with Vanessa, is that we have no idea that what happens in the backstage. Like, we have no clue. Like Vanessa and Hannes were like doing the previous labs.
Yeah.
And they have done some amazing job, like already having some stuff documented. But either ways, with all of the work and experience that they shared with us, it was still a ton of work. And it was really amazing to see it, like how it's taking shape, how we're building stuff, how we're structuring, and having the participants, well served. It was like really amazing.
And how lightweight it's so in the end. Like, just having this workshop.
Oh, it's just putting post-its.
Well, it's like everything in design, isn't it? You know, the simpler it is, the easier it is to interact with, the more effort you actually have to put into making it like that.
Yeah.
You know? But what's great about it, and the things that I like, yes, you know, Design Fest was brilliant, and I think Design Fest was great because it was happening when it did. You know, at this kind of tail end of COVID, we'd all been sent to our bedrooms for 2 years, and it was our first sort of real chance to get together. I think there was a bit of a lull before this pickup has happened again in Europe, and certainly from the UK, we were allowed to travel a lot more freely after being double jabbed. So it was great to sort of, you know, we got all the designers in from Lisbon, we got them in from Prague. We had the two ladies from Germany, the two graphic designers that we've got over there at the moment, and myself, and we all got together in Estonia for 3 days. And what was quite interesting was actually, you know, seeing the reaction of people in the building and here, you know, on floor 2, where they're like, I didn't know we had so many designers. You know, the amount of times I heard that comment.
The other,
was like
other
50
people from
of us
other
all there.
departments.
Yeah, and they were like, what do you guys all do?
I was one of these. When I saw that photo, I was like, there's 50 people there, all in a circle, you know, that group shot. Yeah. To move on to our final topic, which is about each of one's career paths in Pipedrive, it would just be great, I think, for the listeners to just understand from everyone, how did it start and how has it been so far? Maybe, Karolin, you've got the longest one. I mean, you can start.
Okay, I can start. Yeah, okay. So I joined Pipedrive 2016 as an intern. And I was 4 months at this internship. And after that, I got an opportunity to stay as a junior product designer. Then after working as a junior product designer for a year, I was promoted into mid-level. Then it went on 3.5 more years. I was promoted into senior product designer, but was a total surprise for me. Since then, I started being involved more into like facilitation, mentoring, and participating in initiatives that would improve how we work. I started being one of facilitators for our internal show and teach session series and things like that. And in the summer I got promoted into design lead position, and since then it's been totally different. It's a new role. I feel like I'm like doing totally different thing because. Before, if I was able to help someone solve their problems or guide them in solving them, then I felt like, yay, I've done something great. But now when I'm in design lead position, I need to see like this whole picture. And if I just fix one problem, it's like not enough. I need to find a way how to work with my team and how to solve these things in a more strategic way, so it actually makes an impact. And these problems wouldn't occur again with other people. And I have a lot to learn in this position and a lot to experience still. And I don't expect to be promoted anytime soon. But I also know that if I want to change my position and I want to go back to being individual contributor, for example, then I would have the company's support to do so. Also, if I would want to become a manager.
Stephen's
nodding, so it's probably good.
Yeah, it's recorded as well.
It is. Well, I mean, we have, in terms of career paths, everybody has the same kind of path from, you know, intern right the way up to the point of being a senior. And it's at the point of being a senior that what we like to do is give people a sort of a taste of what could be the next stage of their careers. So, for example, our seniors are now doing management training. Because some people will say, oh, I don't want to be a manager, I'm not interested in being a manager. But we give them the training so that it kind of demystifies it in many ways, and what are the mechanics of being a manager, and actually, was it as bad as they thought it were? But from that, you then have this idea that you can be a design leader, design coach, you can be a design manager, or you can be one of our kind of design ninjas, which we call principal designers. And that's where you can continue to be an individual contributor, but in a specialism. So you're senior, you're not a manager or a coach because maybe your personality, you don't want to do that, you're not interested in doing that. But actually, you're more than a senior, you're kind of like a super specialist in one specific area. And as Karolin says, that doesn't mean that you have to stay doing that forever. You can swap and change, and we have a framework for doing that as well. So yeah,
Perfect.
I find it very cool.
Jackson, I mean, you can tell your story. I mean, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I mean, maybe it can be helpful to go further if you want to.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, a fun fact. If I will go take some steps back, I've been working in the field like since 2010, 2011. So I've been quite a while, and I've not always worked in big companies like Pipedrive. I've worked in smaller companies, had my own startups, failed some, succeeded in some. And one thing that I've learned here is that the growth is possible. Like really, it's not like no. When I heard about the culture, I have a friend he worked here already, and he was like, "Oh my God, the culture is so amazing! The culture is so amazing!" And I was like, "What do you even mean about culture? Like culture? He would be always bragging about Pipedrive's culture, and I'm like, why? What is a big deal? After being in different companies and different contexts, and some not the best or not the healthiest culture, when I came here, I noticed how amazing the culture is in practice, and then how great it is for you and for your mental health. So that's one fact. And the other fact is that when I applied to Pipedrive, I think I applied at the end of 2019. I applied and I was rejected by Pipedrive.
Ooh.
But I applied, I think, for design system.
Okay.
But I think I can't remember who didn't accepted me, but it's okay. And then it had a turnaround that I think maybe I've improved as a professional in this time span. And then I was reached out.
It was Hannes, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hannes reached out.
I remember Hannes telling me.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I was back then with a team, and I was I was like in a leadership position there, not officially like leading without a title, for instance, but still I was doing like hiring people, making sure that these things. I was like handling design systems, product strategy, and all of this same time. And that's when Hannes reached out again and did a counter offer because I was like focusing on my team, and then I had the opportunity to like reconsider. I was like, okay, let's go. So that's how I joined Pipedrive as a senior designer. And from there on, it was just like working with like an amazing team. I was really fortunate to work with Vince, which is our product manager. I think he's like one, to me personally, have been the best product manager I've worked so far. Extremely professional, really customer centric, really passionate about what he do. And the engineering team, no words, they're just like impeccable in what they do. So yeah, I had the taste to go through actually working with product, looking into data, seeing customers' behavior, and building products and migrating them customers from one sort of technology to another technology internally. A lot of cool stuff in comms and planning we did, and then I was like guided in order to be able to like become a design lead. And through the mentorship programs and other smaller initiatives, I was able to move from the senior, hands-on type of professional, like individual contributor, and be able to lead a design team with 12 12 people together with Hannes, the funny enough, the guy who hired me. So yeah, and now I'm in this new role. I stayed a few months in the design lead position, but as the organization has other questions and other needs, they found maybe it's a good fit for me to experiment and check into the group design manager role. So this is totally new for me as well, but I'm glad that I have a very supportive and good big team to help me to answer questions that I do have, or even the design team that is still growing, that we are together building the ways that we want to work. So yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot to learn yet, but I'm pretty excited about it.
And you've started bringing people in as well. You brought Richard with you, haven't you?
Yeah, brought amazing talents like from Brazil, ex-UX lead from Volkswagen, Richard.
Ex-lead digital from Volkswagen we got working for us. So, I mean, it's, you know,
That's
speaks a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thanks, Jackson and everyone. Now, everyone, time for Q&A. My colleague Brendan has sent over a list. Looks like, roughly speaking, 7-8 questions. Feel free to fire in some more. Maybe we can do slightly more quick-fire style, given that number.
Oh, go on.
For time. Maybe not too quick, but let's start from the start. And yeah, anyone can take it, and let's just roll with it. So Sarah V asks, what is your favourite part of being a designer and/or favourite part of being a designer in Pipedrive? I guess without covering what you've already said before. Or maybe look back, I don't know. That's the question from Sarah anyway.
I'd actually like to take that one first of all. For me, although I'm not allowed, they won't let me do actual design work with Figma. But what I find is using my skills as a designer to design people and processes and to design a team and to use those same skills that I would use when solving a customer problem, but apply them to an operational space as well. So I haven't stopped being a designer. I've just used those skills for something slightly different. And I think having that opportunity to be able to do that as a leader has been really cool for me personally.
And it works well.
Hopefully.
All right.
Yeah, it's working well.
Good. Next question from Kadri. Does Pipedrive have its own design system to help keep consistency when designing new features?
Yes, we do. We do have an amazing team of design alignment. So, like the design alignment as a whole, it's like really cool. But the design system, it's there in place with those building blocks that help the designers that are actually trying to solve other problems don't have to worry about like how to align or how to fix this layout. Like it's mainly they have built the building blocks for us to speed up our work and get things done fast. Yeah. So we have a really, really strong team there, and it's growing as well. So yeah, it's like
and it
do
links
have a
with the
design
code
system
as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes design system. It goes from design to code, and then of course we are always improving, but we have a very strong team there as well, helping us, supporting us in all ways possible.
I like to call those systems Lego block systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are. They are
Lego
completely.
blocks,
That's exactly what they are. You know,
Yeah.
and it's about making sure that, you know, as Jackson said, the designers have the bits that they need. But I mean, it's not just about saying, yes, we have these components. You know, we've got illustrators in there, we've got copywriters, we've got, you know, motion graphics designers. There's an art director in that team. It's you know, it's a department on its own. So.
Yeah.
And I would bring it out again that we have a component library for illustrations. And that's something, when I saw it first time, I was like, is that even possible?
Yeah. We can just pull the building blocks of like illustration and just like put it out there. It's like really cool.
Miriam and Anne are brilliant. I was actually using it the other week actually, and it's just like you just throw some stuff together and you make it so it looks like it makes sense, but you know automatically. I know before I've even finished doing it, it's going to be compliant. Because it can't not be compliant. I'm using their Lego bricks. So how can it not be compliant? So it's like, great, I'm just going to throw these bits together. Fantastic, there we go.
And it's not static. It's We can have like micro interactions, animations and stuff like that. So yeah, we have really cool stuff happening in the design system.
So Kadri, yes, is the answer. We do have that system. From Catherine, we have great so far. How do you separate what users really need and what they think they need? What does an MVP means when it comes to a solid and wildly used product?
Interesting question.
First part is
I thought you were going to answer that one then for a moment.
No, I can, but you can go ahead. All right, so there is like, this is the old Ford thing, is like, if you ask me what I want, if you ask the person what they want, they would say they want faster horses. And in this context, it does not apply to us, because we do understand the problem that the customer is having, right? But we need to also make sure that we are like have that all of the capabilities possible to deliver this as well. So we have the technical capabilities, we have the enough people to deliver this and in a way that it actually solves the problem. So that question, it's like it's a really good one. Put it like this: you have, like, as I mentioned before, you have a lot of problems, but which one you want to solve first, and which one is going to help the business and the customer at the same time? So which one is going to solve the pressing issues faster?
I when we talk about this, I kind of talk about it in a slightly more abstract way, where I say, the way that we do this is also through our skill and our knowledge as designers as well, of not just asking the customer what they want. And the analogy that I use is that when my kids were younger, they'd have activities they'd do on a Saturday. Sometimes they'd need packed lunches, or they need a packed lunch if they're going off for something for school. If you ask a 6-year-old what they want in their packed lunch, you're going to get, I want fizzy, I want Coca-Cola. There you go, name dropping again. I want chocolate biscuits. I want sweets. I want that. None of it, as a parent, you are going to put in there. So as a parent, you're faced with this. How do you make sure that your child gets something to eat and that they're going to eat and they're not going to go hungry, but at the same time actually give them something that they're going to want to eat? And so there's lots of ways that you can get around that. We used to use 0 sugar drinks and put carbonated water in them, so it felt like they were getting a fizzy pop drink, right? And there's things that you can do as a designer that are kind of similar to that. So a customer may say to you, "I need this," and it's because they've fixated on a solution themselves. Mm-hmm. This is why we use value proposition canvases so much, is because we want to dig into that next level down and just go, let's just make sure that just because you've told me that you want this, it's actually what you need, So
I think the next question perfectly follows on to the next stage of that. This is from Bruce, which is, how does the design team manage the feedback from customers for software ease of use versus software functionality? Maybe that's after they've eaten their lunch and they're giving you some feedback. Wanted more soda next time. So who wins, product or design? That's the question.
Sorry, say that again.
How does the design team manage the feedback from the customers for software ease of use versus software functionality? Who typically wins, product or design?
Oh, so as opposed to what they say they want, as opposed to how they're using it and the usability of it. So we do heuristic testing of
heuristic analysis. Yeah, so it comes down to when you have a task that you want to complete, and you provide something to solve to help the customer to solve that problem. That's the thing, it's the goal. The end goal is to completing this task.
Yeah.
How easy it is, it's another way we look at it. We look like how easy it's to be discovered, how easy they can actually reach to this end goal. We maybe apply like some cognitive biases in order to guide them how they can complete this, relay on existing cognitive bias, and help them to reach this goal faster.
Yeah.
So we're not like reinventing the wheel or creating supersonic magic, but we just like looking to the goal that we want to achieve with the feature or whatever, or with the tool, and then making it simpler and simpler as we can, and based on feedback, of course.
Yeah.
So we see the behavior, we see how long they take to complete the task, like the time to complete this task, how they do it, if they create any hacks in order to solve this, and if they're creating hacks, like how many people are creating hacks to solve this specific problem. Maybe we can build a better tool for them. So this is the way we kind of go about this.
And it's not just about getting that quantitative. No, it's not just about getting quantitative. It's about getting qualitative as well.
Yeah.
So it's it's yes, I managed to finish this task really quickly, but I really didn't like the way it was happening. So okay, let's go back and make that easier to use and just as simple. So fewer number of steps that you can get while still being able to allow people to complete that task in both the forward and backward direction.
I could bring an example that as working with one product area or one product insights for 2.5 years, we constantly kept this backlog of feedback and requests, and we got them through the internal support channels, also through community and other channels we have, and we actually had like a top, like, okay, what has been asked the most? And I wouldn't say that it's possible to separate it, like, okay, this is about UX flows and this is about actual function, because it's always about actual function, because users want to get something done. So based on how much there was, we were able to get the list and also prioritize based on that, like, okay, maybe you should look into this problem. And then we went out and validated if it's really a problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Maybe a simple one. I'll give this to Stephen, just for laughs. Is Miro pronounced Miro or Miro?
It depends on the time of day, how many coffees I've had, and what mood I'm in. A lot of people say it's Miro or Miro. Do you know what? It's like potato and potato.
And also we're in Tallinn office, so here we say Miro.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Miro.
Yeah. Have a vote. Vote on it, please.
Next question from Andri is, as 3D design will be the rock star soon, then what are Pipedrive plans for it, if any?
3D?
3D design.
3D, as in CGI 3D?
I'll read the question verbatim, and then as 3D design will be the UI rockstar soon, and then what are Pipedrive plans for it?
Is this about the metaverse? I'm assuming this is going to be about the metaverse.
You may answer it as you wish.
I am going to start showing my age here, because the metaverse has been around in various different formats from the film The Lawnmower Man onwards. When I was working in the late 90s, early noughties, it was felt that internet version, I don't know what it was at the time, 0.1, that somehow, even though all we had in web pages then were cells and columns, that we were going to be able to integrate some form of a 3D renderer, and people would want to walk down their high street and view the world through this sort of 3D world from their television sets. The reason why I'm gently smiling about that is that I know what the feedback was at that time, and I know how you can see how successful it was at the time, because nothing happened with it for the last 20 years, and it's now kind of, this idea is coming back around again. Whether or not people will be more open to that as an idea, walking around in a 3D environment, I don't know. My personal view is that actually more of a mixed reality and an augmented reality will be the next thing. So when I can get a head-up display in my glasses, and it will give me directions as to where I'm going, or it will give me information about my environment, and I can turn that on and off, and I can filter it. I look at like video games like Tom Clancy's Modern Warfare, that kind of thing. When I get that kind of a feeling from my head, I think that will be the next stage. You already see these head-up displays in cars. I don't think that's so much of a push forward. Metaverse, yeah, I'm going to put it out there. I'm not buying shares, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
I can add something to that. It goes a bit into controversy what you said, because I think we're already in the metaverse, if you think of it. Like, whether it's bi-dimension, 2D or 3D, we're already there. We're communicating with people. The only thing, the difference, like, let's say for the metaverse, is that we're just going to go from the bi-dimensional, the 2D stuff, to a three-dimensional. As of like Pipedrive, I can't talk much about which direction we're going to go about that.
I can't see.
We can't say that yet. We can't say that yet. But of course, the Web point 3 is already there. The Internet point 3 is already there. The VR, AR, MR, like for virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality is already there. The metaverse is basically a composition of Web point 3, those three I just mentioned, plus the blockchain. So I think it's not so far away, but it will take some time just to have like more customer adoption.
Maybe for Pipedrive, no time.
Yeah, we could talk about this for quite a long time, and we probably will do over a bit later.
Maybe 3 questions more, maybe 4. Let's see, yeah. And then we can wrap things up. We have to get those prizes out to the best questions.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
Yes.
pay attention. This is from Kalev. Question about people management. How do you approach the personal development of individuals as a design lead?
I think as like the design lead, as of today, we changed this a tiny bit. So previously, the design lead was mainly focused on the technical craft of stuff, like focus on the process, the guardian of the quality. So they still do the same, but mostly on the operational side of it. I think Karolin can break that down a bit more. But who's like mostly focused on the part of the growth of the person side of the team is the group design manager. So the way we do that is by ensuring that we conduct, let's say we have those one-on-ones on a bi-weekly basis. We understand what are the goals of this individual, of this person, like where do you want to go? Make sure that they are be able to step in between craft, between understand a bit about people, about something more specialist. So we have these ways of going about it. Yeah. So you can have this navigation between those three paths very early on. And so once you reach this senior level, you'll be able to...
And a safe space.
Yeah, you have the safe space and some at least more background in order to decide which direction you want to go.
May I add up to that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so bringing in a bit of historical context. So before we went through this organizational change, restructuring, we used to have a manager and design lead in same team. So as Jackson brought out, there are some overlapping parts that the manager and design leads were supporting, but mainly the difference were between a manager taking care of the well-being and the design lead taking care of the design quality. Yeah. After this organizational change, we realized that it's not scalable. We can't keep on like having that many teams with like 2 leader positions in each. So the design lead position was taken out and moved to this design ops team. As of today, we only have 1 design lead, but we're aiming to grow and have more. And as before, it used to be more like since the summer, I've done so many one-on-ones. We just get together, we look into the problems they have on the table, we try to figure out how to move on, who to talk to, which methods to use. I'm not telling them what to do. We're like there to ideate together. And the reality is that this way of working needs to become more strategical because there's only so much time in a week. Yeah. And the problems are similar, so we can solve them.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of cued Jackson up there. One of the key things is allowing people a safe space to fail. So you give them the room to work within a framework, you give them the tools and the mentoring and the coaching, and then you let them do it. And it's, again, I come back to, it's like having a child on a bicycle. At some point, the parent has to let go of the child on the bicycle so the child can learn to ride themselves. And that's exactly what we try and do with people here. And we allow them to kind of make mistakes and to do things gently. And in doing that, you get a better level of learning. It's not just throwing someone in at the deep end and expecting them to get on with it. It's, so our managers, when they start to become managers, they'll take on 1 or 2 people, for example, before they get a team of sort of 5+.
All right. Second last question. Let's see if we can do this in, let's say,
10 minutes,
4 minutes, maybe. This one's from Jürgen. Could you elaborate on the relationship and responsibilities in the PM designer tandem, product manager, designer?
Okay, the product manager.
So can you say that again?
Could you elaborate on the relationship and responsibilities of the, how do product managers and designers work together? That you mentioned one-to-one before. I guess.
I can maybe take that because I recently came out of that. I was working. I've been working together with the product manager Seda for a long time, and our relationship was a lot based on our agreements, and we just like work together on day-to-day basis. Also, tech lead was involved, but. There are certain things that we could expect designers to do or product managers to do, and we don't know how to do them when we're not these people. But a lot of things you agree between each other.
Yeah.
Like for example, usability testing. It's not expected that one or the other does it. You agree who does what. We will prepare it together. We facilitate it together, and we work with the results together. So it's like like partnership.
Yeah, and I can add to that, like as I also recently leave from the hands-on stuff. So while collaborating with my product manager, for instance, he used to help even with the recruiting. For instance, it's like really cool that the product manager was like mostly focusing on helping and collaborating instead of trying to like go do other things. Or he's like always like, hey, we're gonna work on this mission. This is the problems that we're trying to solve. What are our common what are our agreements? What are we gonna do? This is mostly for expectation alignment and expectation management. So with that, we'll be able to like have like a product manager that is contributing with design, and design that is contributing with product in a very nice way. So this is like no one is cutting corners or trying to skip some process of design or skip some process in product. Yeah.
All right, last question. Thank you, everyone, for all the questions. I couldn't quite get to them all, but I'm going to give one more to Stephen, but I'll give you a cap.
Okay.
Give you a cap. It has to be fast, all right? But please.
Okay, here we go.
This is from Miriam. What are the main challenges that the design team is facing when looking for new team members?
Oh, good Lord.
If you can do it in like 30 seconds or a minute.
What's the
How
challenge? I think the key one is finding the right type of personality. I say this a lot when I'm interviewing people when in the final stage. We can train people to press buttons. Yeah, a monkey was trained to fly a spaceship. We can teach anyone to press buttons. It's not difficult, right? I used to do technical training as well for CGI. It's actually quite straightforward. What you can't train people to be is actually a nice person, right? You can't train them to care about what they're doing, and you can't train them to actually want to do a better job. That's either there or it's not there. So our key challenge that we find whenever we're looking at anybody is actually getting that personality type, getting that forward-thinking mindset. There's a lot of times I hear questions about, how much can you earn as a designer? And it's almost immediately, that question almost immediately disqualifies you, right? Because it's like, you're not doing this for the right reasons. Yeah. It's kind of like a vocation, what we do. And it's kind of like trying to find those bits of gold, and just going, absolutely, yeah. We've been really lucky so far that we've consistently managed to find people like that. And I think that's true of the whole company as well. And once you get a group of people together like that, you get magic happening. You get these collaborative, relationships happening between PMs and designers, because even on the days when you may not be seeing completely eye to eye, you're both still trying to get to the same thing, So, yeah, it's actually harder than it sounds finding those people.
That is the main challenge.
Yeah,
that's
your main challenge.
So we are almost at the end. But as mentioned many times, we have 2 tickets to give away. That is for the World Usability Day conference on Friday.
Yep.
Jackson, you're a keynote speaker. What's your little elevator pitch to get people excited for the prizes we're about to give out from the Q&A? So,
Drum roll.
So
drum roll.
I need to choose? Or
No, you're not choosing. Tell us about the keynote speech.
Okay, about the keynote. So on the keynote, I'll be talking basically about cognitive bias in order to improve product design. So as we are humans, we are all biased, and I'm gonna show practical examples of how the cognitive biases are in our daily basis and how we can use them to help customers to achieve their goal faster, relying on these common cognitive biases. So it's really about design, using design with the brain science and helping people to achieve goal in an ethical way.
Amazing. Looking forward to it. And everyone else that'll be there, of course. And now, for the lucky two, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this, but if you can remember between the three, pick your best questions. And,
I quite like the one about the if it was about the metaverse, then about the metaverse, because it sparked a conversation which I'm fairly sure we're going to carry on having later on this evening. So
that also pops up in my mind as well.
Yeah. That's one really good one.
Yeah,
Let's lucky Andre. So Andre, please write to us at press@pipedrive.com. You should see it at the bottom of your screen. One more to give away. One more question. Andre A, that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What was the second question again? Can you remind me of that one? I seem to remember.
that was about Pipedrive's design system.
Right. What was the one after that?
The one after that was about how do you separate users that really need what they need and what they think they need. That was about.
I quite liked that one.
That was a really good one.
Okay, cool.
Well.
That was Catherine B. Please also write to us at press@pipedrive.com.
Mm-hmm.
So, congratulations. You got a ticket to yourself and you can listen to Jackson amongst other people. Thank you, panelists. You've been amazing. I've learned a lot. Hopefully everyone else has learned a lot in this hour and a half. I have one favour for everyone on the call is my colleague Brendan is going to drop in a Google Forms link. Please give us some feedback. What did you like? What didn't you like? So we can keep making these in the future and improve them. Once again, thanks to panelists. Thanks to the crew. Thanks, Brendan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And have
Thank
a
you for having us,
wonderful
Kurt.
Thank you for
evening.
having us.
My pleasure. All right. Bye, everyone.